Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Hello viewers, I'm Gamichi Samandida and you're tuned into POA Daily News. Stay with us. First, South Africa. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said on Sunday that the country would remain fully engaged in G20 activities despite recent tensions with the United States, the host of next year's G20 meetings. The president made the remarks in a national address after South Africa presided over the G20 Leaders Summit a week ago, from which Washington was absent. U.S. President Donald Trump claimed earlier this week South Africa would not be invited to next year's G20 meetings amid tensions in bilateral ties. He noted that South Africa is one of the founding members of the G20 and it is therefore a member of the G20 in its own name and right. Will continue to participate as a full, active and constructive member of the G20, Ramaphosa said. Ramaphosa stated the U.S. absence from this year's Leaders Summit was rooted in misinformation and regrettable. This blatant misinformation about our country, it is even more unfortunate that the reason the U.S. gave for its non-participation were based on baseless and false allegations that South Africa is perpetrating genocide against Afrikaners and confiscation of land from white people, Ramaphosa said. Ramaphosa confirmed that South Africa had handed over the G20 presidency to the United States earlier this week and that his country values its relationship with Washington and remains committed to dialogue. Moving to Algiers, African leaders meeting in Algiers intensified calls for global recognition of colonial-era crimes and formal reparations process. The conference, themed towards redressing historical injustices through the criminalization of colonialism, brings together foreign ministers, AU Peace and Security Council ambassadors, CARICOM representatives and other international delegates. Discussions focus on accountability, reparations and justice for colonial-era victims. The conference follows an AU resolution seeking to classify colonization as a crime against humanity and establish a unified African position on justice and restitution. Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf said Africa continues to bear the economic and social scars of colonialism, stressing that compensation and the return of stolen property must be treated as rights, not favors. He noted that European powers extracted resources worth trillions while impoverishing local populations and leaving deep structural inequalities. Leaders also highlighted renewed demands for repatriation of looted artifacts held in European museums. Ethiopia's Foreign Minister Gideon Timotheus highlights urgent climate challenges in the Horn of Africa, urging stronger regional and media-driven action at the third IGAD Media Awards in Addis Ababa. He stated that despite contributing the least to global emissions, the IGAD region suffers disproportionately from droughts, floods, displacement and threats to food and water systems impacts that also fuel insecurity. The minister emphasized Ethiopia's leadership in climate action through its 10-year development plan, the Green Legacy Initiative, which has planted over 48 billion seedlings and major renewable energy investments, such as the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam.
Climate action is at the center of Ethiopia's policy, as enshrined in our 10-year development plan. We remain steadfast in our commitment to the UNFCCC and Paris agreements, upholding our role as Africa's greenhouse champion. Our narrative transcends despair, focusing instead on actionable solutions and transformative change. This commitment is demonstrated by the Green Legacy Initiative, through which Ethiopians have planted over 48 billion seedlings, restoring ecosystems and sharing this success with neighboring nations. On the other hand, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is a major driving force in energy and digital transformation, not just of Ethiopia, but also of Africa at large. The GERD is a living monument to Africa's renewable energy ambition. It is an epitome of Ethiopia's lofty vision for a continental energy pool that drives industrialization and digital transformation while effecting net zero emissions.
Similarly, he noted Ethiopia's growing global role, including hosting the Africa Climate Summit and its selection to host the 2027 UN Climate Change Conference. Gideon praised the media's essential role in climate awareness, accountability, and community mobilization, congratulating award recipients and urging all journalists to continue shaping public dialogue and driving solutions across the region.
In this context that we host the IGAD Media Awards, recognizing the media's crucial role in our collective climate fight. The media raises public awareness, holds leaders accountable, disseminates vital information, and amplifies vulnerable voices, ultimately enabling coordinated action. I extend my congratulations to the award recipients tonight. Your professionalism and dedication have significantly advanced public awareness and informed decision-making. This award is an acknowledgement and a call to action. In this regard, I call upon all of you present and through you, your fellow career and citizen journalists, to assist governments and regional organizations in the fight against climate change by changing public conversation, influencing policy, and kickstarting community-driven solutions in our region.
Likewise, IGAD Executive Secretary Warkina Gabayo praised journalists across the region for reclaiming African narratives and driving transformative change.
We honor you as a journalists, storytellers, and content creators, the custodians of our shared history, in a world where external narratives often overshadow African voices and African journalists. You have stepped forward with clarity and defiance, insisting that our stories could be told by ourselves. The resolve is transformative. It is restorative. It is an act of regional self-determination. From the wind of curved expanses of the Horn to the lush valleys of the Great Lakes, your reporting has illuminated our lived realities and flittered and fleeting and profoundly human. You have reclaimed our narratives from distortion, ensuring the world sees us not through borrowed eyes, but through the sharp focus on our own truths.
Warkina highlighted the growing impact of the award since their inception in Djibouti and Kenya, noting that the platform now amplifies voices that shape our region with courage and integrity. Moving to Sudan, Chairman of Sudan's Transitional Sovereign Council Abdel Fattah al-Burhan on Sunday stressed the government's readiness to cooperate with the UN in support of the country's humanitarian, developmental and social efforts. The remarks were made as al-Burhan met in Port Sudan with Ramante Lamarara, the UN Secretary-General's personal envoy to Sudan, who said the Sovereign Council's media office in a statement. According to the statement, al-Burhan affirmed the government's the government's keenness to achieve comprehensive and sustainable peace across the country in a way that meets the aspirations of the Sudanese people and enhances security and stability at both national and regional levels. Also renewed Sudan's commitment to continued cooperation with the UN to promote peace and improve humanitarian conditions, stressing the significance of UN support in Sudan. In his part, Lemambra said his visit came at the instruction of the UN Secretary-General to follow up on the political, security and humanitarian situation in Sudan. He noted that there remains an opportunity to launch a Sudanese dialogue that could help end the country's bloodshed and achieve stability, stressing the UN's readiness to provide all forms of support to facilitate this process. Now to business news. The African Development Bank has approved $500 million loan to the government of Nigeria to finance the second phase of its economic governance and energy transition support program for the 2024-25 fiscal period. The African Development Bank Nigeria Director General Abdul Kamara said the new phase aims to drive inclusive growth by fast-tracking structural reforms in the energy sector while strengthening fiscal policy to boost non-oil revenues and widen fiscal space. This phase will consolidate and build on the achievements of the first phase, he noted. The program targets three priority areas: improving public financial management and spending transparency, accelerating power sector reforms to expand energy access and attract private investment, and supporting Nigeria's energy transition through climate adaptation measures and new energy efficiency standards. Nigeria will also update its nationally determined contribution NDC for the 2026-2030 period as part of the initiative. Now sports. Olympic and world champion Emmanuel Wanyonyi has been crowned as the World Athletics Male Track Athlete of the Year. The announcement was made during the World Athletics Awards in Monaco on Sunday, November 30. After a 2-month voting process that involved both the World Athletics Council and the general public, Wanyonyi was voted as the top athlete in the track and field sector. During the awards, Wanyonyi outshone other top athletes, including American sprinter Noah Lyons, to back the award. The 21-year-old has established himself as the champion of the men's 800-meter, winning every major title in the past 2 years. Wanyonyi won the gold medal in the men's 800-meter final during the Paris Olympics with personal best time of 1:41.19. 1 year later, the youngster also claimed the world title in the men's 800-meter in Tokyo, running a championship record time of 1:41.86. During the awards, Kenya's Sebastian Sawi was also crowned World Athletics Out of the Stadium Athlete of the Year. Finally, former England international Eni Aluko, who was born in Nigeria, believes the Africa Cup of Nations should be given the same respect as tournaments such as the World Cup and European Championships. Speaking at the London leg of Diaspora Tour promoting next month's AFCON tournament in Morocco, the former Chelsea and Juventus forward said it was time to stop seeking validation from critical voices in Europe. I think there is sometimes people who just choose to not respect what African football is about, and you leave them in their ignorance to do that, right? Aluko said African football was happening whether you like it or not and was growing rapidly with a huge audience in the diaspora. Some of the players are the biggest players in the Premier League and around the world, so if you don't want to watch it, that's up to you, but you're missing out, she said. This year's AFCON clashes with a busy period in the English Premier League and the penultimate match day of the UEFA Champions League group phase. Now let's take a look at the current weather. That wraps up our broadcast from POA News for this hour. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned for more news updates from Africa.
Once a vibrant corridor of civilization, East Africa now grapples with the profound impacts of climate change. The heartbeat of a land rich in resources faces a critical choice. Now, the choice is between denying the reality or embracing a proactive response. Among these stories of resilience shines Ethiopia, the water tower of Africa. Here, a youth-led movement rises, empowered to combat climate change with innovative indigenous solutions. Since the launch of the Green Legacy Initiative by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed 7 years ago, over 25 million Ethiopians have united to plant billions of trees annually, the largest reforestation initiative on the continent. This endeavor weaves together environmental restoration and socio-economic enrichment. Once barren, Ethiopia's lands are reclaiming their former glory.
In Ethiopia, we're financing on low carbon pathway 98% of our energy sources from clean source. We're investing on hydro, we're investing on wind, we're investing on geothermal, we're investing on solar energies. Beside this investment on clean energy, we have also an initiative called Green Legacy. We have started this initiative before few years, 2019. The initiative will continue till 2026. The objective is to reach 50 billion seedlings. If we could collectively invest, we can easily tackle the challenge that we're facing today.
The mountains once lifeless are now vibrant, looking forward with hope. The inclusion of economically viable seedlings like avocado, papaya, and mango has allowed the initiative to touch every Ethiopian home, bringing both nourishment and opportunity. Through these profound efforts, Ethiopia has stepped into the spotlight as the host of COP32, a testament to its dedication to green development rooted in indigenous knowledge. Ethiopia has embraced the profound fact that true success blossoms from a deep harmony with nature. Rivers that have flowed through Ethiopia for centuries now being harnessed, freeing agriculture from its age-old dependence on nature's whims. In this regard, the Summer Irrigated Wheat Development Initiative, launched under Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's leadership, serves as a remarkable example. Ethiopia once spent nearly $1 billion each year on wheat imports. Today, it has transitioned to producing 28 million tons annually, now exporting beyond its own needs. As a result, Ethiopia has emerged as Africa's largest wheat producer.
Over the past 5 years, we have doubled our cultivated land, increasing crop production to nearly 700 million quintals, with the wheat accounting for 40% of this total. These efforts have strengthened food security and driven rural development. Today, Ethiopia is the largest wheat producer in Africa.
This indigenous journey into wheat production showcases Africa's potential to achieve food sovereignty by tapping into its own resources. Ethiopia's green transformation goes beyond agriculture, yielding impressive advancements in renewable energy development. As home to the continent's largest renewable energy dam, Ethiopia is also rapidly advancing the construction of the Koisha power plant, set to be second largest in Africa. These strides have positioned Ethiopia as the energy hub of the region.
The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is not merely a national project. It is a Pan-African statement. It exemplifies the scale and ambition of African-led infrastructure and aligns with African Union's vision of continental energy connectivity. Supported by multilateral cooperation and regional solidarity, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam provides a blueprint for scaling similar projects across Africa and bridging the continent's energy divide.
This dam's primary purpose is to produce green energy, up to 5,000 megawatts. The Ethiopian people and the neighboring countries will certainly benefit from abundant source of electricity.
Ethiopia's remarkable strides in green initiatives have ignited a new wave of hope across the East African region, which faces the formidable challenges of climate change. The spirit of opportunity is poised to blossom into a collaborative movement, uniting the region in a shared vision for a sustainable future.